Okay, so here we are, we've got our A4 C of A Commonwealth of Australia locomotive on the rolling road, ready to receive the new sound file. So the sound file that's in here is actually a Southwest Digital Locksound version 4 decoder. It sits in the tender, obviously, like all A4s of the current day. And you know, for many years it's been a very acceptable sound file, but the one thing that lets me down is probably the whistle, and I'll show you what I'm talking about in just a second. Performance wise, the Locksound decoders are probably up there as one of the best performing decoders you can get. They have far superior control of the motor. You get far better minute control of the speed curves and the acceleration, the deceleration, and things of that nature. And of course, you get the control of the sound file. So in preparation for this video, I was looking around at a couple of sound files that we could use to re-blow this decoder, as it's coined in the industry. And of course, I came across Locoman Sounds. So once I got in touch with Alessandro from Locoman Sounds, he was very helpful. He suggested I use his version 4 A4 decoder, reblow sound. So we've got that here today and we're going to install it onto this, but we're basically going to show you the difference between the before and the after of this particular sound file, and you'll see the difference in the quality of the sound file. Now, I must stress that this has got the factory 40mm speaker in it. At some point later on, I am going to be changing that to a more capable speaker, and that will be showcased at a later date. But for the meantime, this is very much an apples to apples comparison. We've got a stock decoder with a stock speaker. We're just changing the sound file, so we're going to hear some real difference in the quality of this, I hope, anyway. So, with that said, we've got the A4 on the rolling road. We can open up the lock programmer now. So the ESU lock programmer is their proprietary locomotive decoder programming unit. It basically is almost a mini computer in its own right, but it has the capability of a base station like an ESU ECOS with the added computing power of a PC desktop. So if we open up this, we've got Locksound version 4 and 5. It's version 5 we want to use, the latest one. We open it up, we're greeted with this very simple panel. Now it's got read-write CVs, we'll get to that in just a second, but the important thing is we've got the driver's cab here. Okay, so this particular locomotive is very correctly numbered 4491 on its decoder address, so we'll just put 4491 in, and then you want to go. Now this will enable track current to the programming track, and F1 is obviously selected on, so you can hear the sound of the locomotive. Now we also want to make sure it's selected to DCC 128 to recognise the 128 speed steps. And as you can see, you've got a whole gamut of functions at your disposal right here. Now, the Southwest Digital sound file, as I said, for many years has served me faithfully, and as you can hear, it's quite good. So the actual running sound is actually quite good, but where it really sort of lets you down is the whistle, and I'll show you what I mean. Really tinny, really not an A4 whistle. So let's just turn that off. We'll go through the rest of the functions. Function 4 is the injector. Function 5 is coal shoveling. So you get the basic premise of where we're going with this. This is a dated sound decoder with a very dated sound file. So we'll just kill the power, bring it back down to 0, and we'll just go stop. Now, to read a decoder on the Locksound side with a lock programmer, all you really need to do is go up to lock programmer and go read decoder data, and it will go through very quickly and scan all the CVs and the details, much like it would an ESU ECOS, just substantially faster. Okay, on an ESU ECOS, I can tell you from first hand, it takes about 5 minutes to read a Locksound decoder because it's got over 500-600 CVs to write individually, read and write. This decoder will only respond to DCC commands. Fine, it's a lock programmer and it's a Locksound, so that's okay. And you can go through, so all these tabs will give you very in-depth options as to how you can use this decoder. And as you can see, look at the difference. DCC settings. So this is all going to change in just a second because we're about to load up the Locoman Sounds folder or sound file. Okay. Now, if I go into the Explorer, I've got a USB with it ready to go. Let's just go down here. Where is it? We've got the sound file. Now, the way this works, right, if you have a lock sound decoder ready to go already and a lock programmer at your disposal, what you can do is you can email these guys, whether it be Locoman, Biffo, or in this case Locoman, and you can provide a serial number to reblow your own chip. Now, to find the serial number in this particular lock program software, you need to go to extended decoder information, which is this one right here. If we go click, read decoder, and it will give you all the information regarding when it was dated. So this particular decoder is from 2010, okay, so it's quite an old decoder. It was applied date on 2012, multi-dock, and the serial number right here, which, you know, it's only useful to me, so it doesn't matter if everyone sees it. We've got product ID, manual ID, manufacturer ID, which is all this, 151. But the serial number is this one here. Now this is the number that you would send to Locoman Sounds or Locoman Biffo, and you'd say, look, I want to reblow my decoder with this sound file. Can you please provide me that sound file? They will go, yes, it will cost you this much. Can you please provide the serial number? In that case, this is the number you are looking for, serial number. And now you know how to find it. It took me a little while to find it, but now it's very easy to find. So it's just up in the programmer under extended decoder information. All right, now that's been done. We can go back to here. I'm just going to move this onto the desktop so I can find it with ease. Right, and there is the sound file right there. Okay, so great. We've got the lock programmer open. Why have I got two instances of the lock programmer open? Let's just close that one because we don't need it. Right. Now up on the top here you've got all your usual tabs and toolbars. So the file is just basically your usual thing like it would on an email or a Word document. So we're going to write decoder data or write sound data. So this is where it gets fun. So you've got to be real careful with this, which is again why I said it's best to put this on a rolling road with very clean track, very clean wheels, because if anything happens to the sound file while you're uploading it, it could potentially corrupt the decoder. So please be very careful about this when you do it on your own. Now, what we want to do is go to Programmer, Write Sound Data. Current project contains no sound data. Alright, so what we potentially will have to do is we'll close this instance right here. Let's just wait and see. Let's just minimize this and open this bad boy up. And we'll just close this previous instance because you don't need it. Now, if we go into sound, project sound is locked, so we can definitely tell that this is ours. 32 megabit, and all we have to do is write the sound data to the decoder. Now, decoder data won't change, so if you've got the same address, that's fine. All we're going to do is write the decoder data, sound data to this decoder, which is this little button right here. And if we go click, write decoder data, overwrite defaults with the current values, okay? This may take up to 30 minutes, so if that's the case, we'll speed it up and we'll get it going. So let's just write the decoder data, writing the firmware. Now this will all go on to this locomotive right here. May take up to 30 minutes. It looks like it's only going to take about a minute, so we'll just wait. The beautiful thing about the lock programmer is too, it will update your decoders to the latest firmware. So much like every other programmable piece of digital hardware, whether it be a phone or a computer, for instance, you can do the exact same with the lock sound and lock pilot decoder. So it will update to the latest firmware so it works with the latest technology, whether it be the latest version of the SUE cars or the latest version of the handheld. Okay, so it's important. This is a very useful tool. Obviously not everyone is going to have the ability to use this, but if you do have a lock programmer, it's a very useful thing to do. So we've written the sound data pretty quickly, and that's the advantage of using a computer. We've done the decoder, so we've got writing decoder configuration just sitting here. Just having a think about it. So we might just speed this up and just see how far we get. I'll be back with you in just a minute. Alright folks, so we're back. It's written onto the decoder, so we've got confirmation of that up here. What probably will happen with you if you reblow your decoder is it will reset the decoder back to factory settings, which is fine. We can always go and change that later on. But for the meantime, we're just going to preview the sounds. So this is the Locoman Sounds A4. Again, it's got a stock factory speaker. We've just reblown the sound file, so let's see how it sounds. So we're on, we're live. Now let's turn this on. What's the whistle sound like, F2? Okay, much better. You can hear the difference in the quality of the whistle straight away, so that's fantastic. Let's listen to this one. Okay, so this one's a sampler, which means you can just hear different samples of the whistle. Function 4. Function 4 is an active setting. Alright, so we've got it on DCC 128. Let's crank it up and see how it sounds. I think without a doubt this has got a far better sound file than the previous Southwest Digital, so I'm very happy with that. Play a squeal. So here's the awesome thing about the Locoman 2. If you hover over the buttons, it will actually tell you what each one is. So we've got acoustic load simulation. This is basically when it's going uphill or it's under load. You can simulate that with a function 8. Function 9, we've got coast sound. How cool is that? So on the previous decoder we didn't actually have that. You'd have to throttle right down and just let it decelerate, but we've actually got a coasting sound now on function 9. Coal shoveling. Train doors closing on function 12. Injector on function 13, stronger braking. So I have to say, just from initial impressions, this is actually one hell of an improvement. So, take it all going on. The sound sample is just much crisper, it sounds more true to life, and this is going to sound even better when we replace the speaker in this particular unit when that happens, which is going to be very, very soon. But I think the best thing for us to do right now is to chuck this on the track and actually get some running shots with the new sound file. So let's leave it there. Hopefully you enjoyed the very brief lock pilot, lock sound, lock programmer reblow tutorial. I've enjoyed making it, so